Rome, 1633. Summer sun beats down on the Villa Borghese, where a palace spreads across 600 rooms like a city within a city. 150 gardeners tend 40 acres of sculpted gardens. 300 staff members move through corridors lined with Caravaggio paintings and ancient Roman sculpture worth kingdoms. But in the basement accounting rooms, ledgers tell a darker story. The monthly costs exceed what a prosperous merchant family earns in 5 years. Cardinal Scipione Borghese is spending his family into oblivion. How does a dynasty that survived centuries collapse under the weight of beauty? Stand at the entrance to the Villa Borghese today, and your breath catches. The facade gleams white against umbrella pines. Baroque windows frame views into rooms where gods dance across frescoed ceilings. The Galleria Borghese now houses some of humanity's greatest artistic achievements. Bernini's sculptures seem to breathe marble. Titian's canvases glow with light captured 4 centuries ago. Visitors from every nation queue for hours just to spend 2 hours inside. The Italian government limits entry to protect floors worn by millions of footsteps. But this elegance masks a story of consumption so extreme, it broke one of Europe's most powerful families. The numbers stagger: 600 rooms, 40 acres of formal gardens requiring year-round maintenance, an art collection assembled with the wealth of the Catholic Church itself. Cardinal Scipione Borghese spent the equivalent of $400 million in today's dollars building and furnishing this estate between 1607 and 1633. The monthly operational costs in those first decades exceeded 12,000 scudi, enough to feed 2,000 Roman families for a month. Walk through the Piano Nobile, the noble floor, and count the ceilings. Each one took teams of master painters months to complete. The walls required Carrara marble shipped from quarries 100 miles north, transported by oxen cart and barge. Skilled masons carved every doorframe, every window surround. The villa employed a permanent staff of over 300 gardeners, guards, cooks, stable hands, art restorers, fountain technicians to maintain the elaborate hydraulic systems that made water dance in dozens of fountains. But beneath the marble floors and gold leaf ceilings, an arithmetic problem grew like mold behind perfect walls. The Borghese family rose to prominence when Camillo Borghese became Pope Paul V in 1605. Within months, he made his nephew Scipione a cardinal and showered him with church revenues. Scipione understood power through display. He would build something to awe Rome itself. The eternal city would bow before Borghese magnificence. The villa would announce that this family had arrived at the pinnacle of human achievement. They didn't know it yet, but they were building a beautiful trap. The estate demanded feeding like a living creature. Gardens required constant replanting. Fountains needed maintenance. Roof tiles cracked in summer heat and winter frost. The art collection attracted thieves, requiring armed guards around the clock. Heating 600 rooms in Roman winters consumed forests of firewood. The family acquired more properties, more art, more obligations, each acquisition adding weight to a structure whose foundation was not land or industry, but papal favor. And papal favor, like all political power, eventually shifts. How did a family that seemed invincible in 1620 find itself mortgaging palaces by 1770? What arithmetic makes magnificence unbearable? Scipione Borghese was 29 years old when his uncle became pope. Born in 1577 to a family of moderate nobility, young Scipione studied law but possessed a collector's obsession. Where other men pursued military glory or theological argument, Scipione craved beauty with the intensity of addiction. Paintings, sculpture, ancient Roman artifacts, rare manuscripts. His eyes, witnesses reported, would literally shine when viewing a masterpiece. The papal election changed everything. Pope Paul V transferred enormous church revenues directly to his nephew, funds intended for church maintenance, charitable works, papal administration. Scipione channeled this river of gold into art and architecture. He purchased entire collections. When owners refused to sell, He sometimes deployed Vatican legal authority to confiscate pieces, earning a reputation as both patron and predator. In 1607, he began building the villa. Flaminio Ponzio designed the initial structure, a Renaissance palace reinterpreted through Baroque excess. Then Giovanni Visanzio expanded it, adding wings, galleries, corridors that multiplied like branches on an uncontrolled tree. Scipione visited the construction site daily, changing plans, demanding revisions. A room initially designed for one painting would be expanded to accommodate 3. A garden terrace would be redesigned to improve the view from a specific window. The construction employed hundreds, stone cutters, bricklayers, carpenters who built scaffolding reaching 5 stories high, painters who spent months on their backs like Michelangelo in the Sistine Chapel, covering ceilings with mythological scenes, sculptors who carved nymphs and gods to populate the gardens, hydraulic engineers who designed fountain systems drawing water from ancient Roman aqueducts still functioning after 15 centuries. Scipione paid premium wages to attract the best. Bernini was a teenager when Scipione discovered him. The cardinal recognized genius and essentially adopted the young sculptor, commissioning works that would define Baroque sculpture. Caravaggio's paintings filled gallery walls. Raphael, Titian, Rubens, the collection grew like a cancer of beauty, metastasizing through room after room. But acquisition proved cheaper than maintenance. Each painting required climate control rooms, couldn't get too hot or too cold, too humid or too dry. Sculptures needed protection from weather. Gardens demanded armies of workers to prune, plant, water, weed. The villa itself required constant repair. Italian weather is gentle, but 300 years is a long time for any structure. Scipione understood none of this arithmetic. To him, beauty justified any cost. When Vatican accountants warned about expenditures, he waved them away. The Borghese name would echo through centuries because of what he built. Immortality through magnificence, what price could be too high? By 1633, when Scipione died at 56, the villa stood complete. 600 rooms glittered, gardens bloomed, fountains played, Rome gasped at Borghese's splendor. Diplomats and artists made pilgrimage to view the collection. For that moment, Scipione's vision seemed vindicated. But he left his heirs a poisoned legacy. The estate required the income stream of a pope to maintain. The Borghese family, no longer connected to the papal throne after Paul V's death in 1621, discovered they owned an asset that consumed wealth rather than generating it. The villa produced nothing except admiration. It couldn't be farmed, rented profitably, or subdivided. The art collection was valuable, but illiquid selling pieces would admit defeat and diminish the very prestige the family sought. They were trapped inside beauty like insects in amber. The next generation tried various strategies. They married into other wealthy families, hoping new capital would sustain operations. They accepted positions in the papal state's bureaucracy, leveraging the family name for salaries and benefits. They rented portions of the estate for events. Wealthy Romans could host parties in rooms where cardinals once dined. These efforts slowed the bleeding but couldn't stop it. The arithmetic remained brutal. Operational costs exceeded income every year. The deficit accumulated like water behind a dam, pressure building. Something would eventually break. The question wasn't if the Borghese power would collapse, it was when, and how much of their magnificence would survive the fall. Behind the gilded doors, an invisible world labored to sustain the illusion of effortless grandeur. 300 permanent staff members formed a society within the society, a hierarchy as rigid as anything in the Papal States. The maggiordomo, or chief steward, commanded this army with military precision. Under him, specialized departments managed every aspect of the estate. 20 cooks and kitchen staff prepared meals for the family and upper servants. 40 stable hands cared for horses' carriages and the cobblestone driveways that required constant repair from iron-shod hooves. The gardens alone consumed fortunes. 150 gardeners worked year-round. Spring meant replanting thousands of flowers in geometric patterns that spelled out Borghese glory when viewed from palace windows. Summer demanded constant watering crews hauled water from fountains, from wells, from the ancient aqueducts. Fall required preparing delicate plants for winter, moving potted citrus trees into orangeries heated by coal furnaces. Winter meant protecting fountains from freezing, pruning dormant vines, planning next year's displays. Each fountain represented an ongoing cost. The hydraulic systems required maintenance from specialized engineers who understood pressure, pipe diameter, water source elevation. Lead pipes corroded, stone basins cracked, pump mechanisms jammed. A single major fountain could require a team of 3 workers full-time just to keep water flowing gracefully. Inside the villa, an army fought against decay. Maids scrubbed marble floors. Daily grit tracked in by visitors would scratch the stone permanently, if not removed. Window cleaners worked constantly, ensuring light streamed through spotless glass. Paintings required monitoring for humidity damage, insect infestation, and canvas deterioration. The family employed a full-time art restorer who did nothing but examine and repair the collection. Then came heating. Roman winters are mild by Northern European standards, but still cold enough to make 600 rooms uncomfortable. The villa's system of fireplaces consumed entire forests. Records from 1687 show the estate purchased 847 cartloads of firewood that winter, roughly 130 tons of wood, at a cost of 3,200 scudi. That single expense exceeded the annual income of a prosperous Roman merchant. The servants themselves represented not just salaries, but entire livelihoods, housing, food, medical care when they fell ill. Many servants were married with children. The Borghese bore social obligation to these families. Dismissing staff meant creating destitute families in Rome's streets, damaging the family's reputation. The workforce became a fixed cost that couldn't be easily reduced. Detailed household accounts from the 1690s reveal the monthly arithmetic. Salaries, 1,100 scudi. Food for household and staff, 800 scudi. Firewood and coal, 600 scudi. Garden maintenance, 400 scudi. Repairs and maintenance, 500 scudi. Art acquisition and restoration, 300 scudi. Miscellaneous operational costs, 400 scudi. Total monthly expenditure, 4,100 scudi. Against this, the family's income stream struggled. Agricultural estates in the Roman countryside provided perhaps 2,000 scudi monthly. Rents from urban properties added another 800 scudi. Gifts and stipends from grateful popes contributed perhaps 500 scudi in good years. Total income, roughly 3,300 scudi per month. The deficit, 800 scudi monthly, doesn't sound catastrophic until you multiply across decades. Over 20 years, that deficit accumulated to 192,000 scudi, equivalent to roughly $40 million today. The family borrowed against future income. They sold peripheral properties. They leveraged the art collection as collateral for loans from Vatican banks. But selling the art meant destroying the very thing that justified all this expense. The social costs cut deeper than financial. The villa isolated the family from normal Roman life. Children grew up in corridors where Bernini sculptures outnumbered playmates. They learned that beauty mattered more than people, that display trumped substance. Several Borghese heirs showed signs of what we might now recognize as Depression diaries from the 1720s, reveal a young Marcantonio Borghese who felt imprisoned by his own inheritance, obligated to maintain a splendor he didn't choose and couldn't afford. The servants, too, paid hidden prices. They worked 14-hour days to maintain perfection. They lived in cramped basement quarters while polishing marble floors above them. Their children inherited their positions, generations trapped in service to beauty. When the family faced financial pressure, salaries were delayed, sometimes by months. Servants couldn't leave easily. Employment at the Villa Borghese looked prestigious, but provided no transferable skills beyond dusting priceless art. The neighborhood surrounding the villa transformed as the family influence waned. In Scipione's era, the Borghese name commanded fear and respect. By 1750, local merchants whispered about unpaid bills. Contractors demanded payment up front. The villa became known not as a symbol of power, but as a beautiful burden, draining resources from the family and everyone connected to them. Stand in the accounting rooms today, now converted to gallery space, and imagine the scribes who sat here calculating impossible arithmetic. Month after month, year after year, they balanced ledgers that never balanced. They watched deficit grow, knowing the structure was unsustainable but powerless to stop it. These rooms witnessed the slow-motion collapse of a dynasty, documented in ink and despair. The bills piled up like snowdrifts, and winter was coming. The breaking point arrived not as a single dramatic event, but as a cascade of pressures that finally overwhelmed the family's ability to adapt. In 1770, the Holy Roman Empire instituted sweeping tax reforms throughout Italian territories. Aristocratic families suddenly faced property assessments that couldn't be evaded through papal connections. The Villa Borghese, with its 600 rooms and 40 acres, represented an enormous tax burden. The assessment arrived at the worst possible moment Vatican revenues to allied. Families had been declining for decades as the Church's political power waned across Europe. Marcantonio IV Borghese, head of the family in 1770, faced brutal choices. He ordered staff reductions, 100 positions eliminated in a single year. Gardeners were cut to 30. Kitchen staff shrank to 8. The estate that once employed 300 now operated with barely 100 workers. The gardens began their slow surrender to nature. Fountains fell silent. Entire wings of the villa were closed to save heating costs. But even these desperate measures couldn't stop the bleeding. By 1775, the family owed staggering sums to Roman banks. Creditors threatened legal action. The Borghese name that once inspired awe now prompted bankers to demand collateral. The art collection, assembled over 17 decades, became the only asset liquid enough to satisfy debts. The sales began quietly. A Raphael sketch here, a Roman sculpture there, minor pieces that the public wouldn't notice. But word spread through Rome's art world. Dealers from Paris and London descended like crows to a carcass, offering lowball prices for masterpieces. The family sold several Caravaggios for fractions of their value. Desperation mixed terrible negotiations. Napoleon's invasion of Italy in 1796 accelerated the catastrophe. French forces requisitioned art as war tribute. The Borghese family, trying to curry favor with new political masters, donated dozens of major works. Camillo Borghese, marrying Napoleon's sister Pauline in 1803, thought the alliance would restore family fortunes. Instead, it drained them further. Pauline's spending made even Scipione's extravagance seem modest. In 1807, under pressure from Napoleon and drowning in debt, Camillo sold 344 pieces from the collection to his brother-in-law for 13 million francs. The sculptures, paintings, and antiquities traveled to Paris, where they remain in the Louvre today. The sale generated temporary liquidity, but gutted the collection that had justified all the suffering. The villa itself nearly disappeared. In 1820, serious proposals circulated in Rome for demolishing the structure and subdividing the land for housing. The city was expanding, and this massive estate occupied prime real estate near the center. Demolition contractors assessed the marble. They could salvage enough to build 50 ordinary houses. For a decade, the fate of Scipione's dream hung in balance. The family rallied one final time. They secured loans by mortgaging everything they still owned. They negotiated a deal with the Papal States. The villa would become a public museum in exchange for tax relief and maintenance subsidies. In 1833, Exactly 2 centuries after Scipione's death, the Villa Borghese opened to the public. But the Borghese family no longer controlled it. They owned the building, but not their destiny. The Italian state assumed increasing authority, eventually nationalizing the property. In 1902, the family that built a palace to broadcast their eternal power survived only by surrendering that power, piece by piece, room by room, until nothing remained but a name on a museum plaque. By 1935, the once great estate stood maintained by the Italian government as a national treasure. The Borghese family retained title to the building but lived elsewhere, unable to afford even visiting their ancestral masterpiece except as tourists paying admission. The villa survived. The dynasty that built it did not, at least not in any meaningful form. They exist today as aristocratic names in Roman social registers, attending museum openings in rooms where their ancestors once commanded the destiny of popes. The curse wasn't supernatural. It was arithmetic, compounded over centuries, as patient and inevitable as water wearing down stone. Today, visitors queue outside the Galleria Borghese for tickets booked weeks in advance. Guards monitor the marble floors that 300 servants once polished. Climate-controlled galleries protect paintings and sculptures that survived family collapse, war, revolution, and time itself. The Italian Ministry of Culture manages what the Borghese family could not: preservation through public responsibility rather than private glory. Walk through those rooms now, and the beauty overwhelms. Bernini's Apollo and Daphne captures transformation in marble, Daphne's fingers becoming laurel leaves, her face showing the precise moment between human and tree. Canova's sculpture of Pauline Borghese reclines with impossible grace. Caravaggio's David, with the head of Goliath, confronts viewers with mortality and triumph. But look closer at the wall text. Notice what's missing. Hundreds of masterpieces sold, seized, scattered across museums worldwide. The collection that once defined the villa exists now as fragments: a Caravaggio in the Louvre, a Raphael in London's National Gallery, a Titian in Vienna. The Borghese vision of concentrated magnificence became, through financial collapse, a distributed heritage belonging to humanity rather than one family. The lesson echoes across centuries. Beauty doesn't justify unlimited cost. Magnificence without sustainable foundation becomes a curse that burdens generations. The villa survived by being taken from its creators, nationalized, socialized, transformed from private monument to public trust. The Borghese family learned what empires and dynasties discover repeatedly across history. You can build something so grand it outlasts your ability to maintain it. The structure continues after the creators collapse, but only by serving new masters with different values. Stand in the entrance hall today where Cardinal Scipione once welcomed popes and princes. The beauty endures. The power does not. Perhaps that was always the only possible ending. The Villa Borghese raises questions that haunt every museum of aristocratic excess. Was Scipione's vision justified by what he created? Does the beauty enjoyed by millions today validate the exploitation that built it? When does magnificence become madness? The arithmetic proved merciless. 600 rooms, 300 servants, forests consumed for firewood, fortune spent monthly maintaining perfection, none of it sustainable without the papal revenues that flowed for barely 15 years. The remaining 3 centuries became a slow-motion collapse, elegant on the surface, but rotting underneath, until finally the state stepped in to save the building from the family that built it. Today's visitors see curated beauty. They don't see the accounting rooms where scribes recorded impossible deficits. They don't hear the fountains falling silent one by one as the family cut costs. They don't know the names of the 100 gardeners dismissed in 1770, their livelihoods sacrificed to delay the inevitable. The villa stands as monument and warning, a reminder that human creation can exceed human capacity to sustain it. Cardinal Scipione Borghese achieved immortality, but not in the way he imagined. His name survives attached to beauty he can no longer control. maintained by a society that wouldn't let magnificence die even after its creators collapsed under its weight. Walk through those galleries and remember, every masterpiece demanded a price. The paintings endure. The dynasty that assembled them does not. Beauty outlasts power, but sometimes only by consuming the powerful who pursue it. The mansion that drained the Borghese survives today by belonging to everyone. The final irony of aristocratic ambition transformed through collapse into democratic heritage.